Welcome to another episode of Shadows of the Tarot. Steph and Angie were the epitome of outgoing teenagers, brimming with energy and a shared love for social gatherings when they first crossed paths in high school. Steph, a charismatic young man of Greek descent, grew up in a close-knit family that showered him with love and support. In contrast, Angie's upbringing was marked by solitude. Her parents often worked long hours, leaving her to fend for herself at home. Despite their differences, they formed an unbreakable bond, drawn together by their mutual desire for freedom and connection. Steph sought rebellion against the structured expectations of his family, while Angie craved the warmth and excitement of companionship. Their dynamic made them a popular duo, regular fixtures at every party in town. As their teenage friendship blossomed into romance, the two became inseparable. By the time they reached their 20s, Steph and Angie had been together for nearly a decade. However, the passage of time brought a sense of monotony to their relationship. Both recognized the need to reignite the spark that once defined their early days. The turning point came during a party they hosted one fateful evening. Like most gatherings, the drinks flowed freely, and laughter filled the air. After the crowd dispersed, only a handful of friends remained to help clean up. But Zach, a mutual acquaintance with a bold streak, decided to stay the night. As the trio lounged on the couch, nursing their final drinks, an unexpected moment unfolded. Steph leaned in to kiss Angie, their affection unreserved. Zach, emboldened by a mix of alcohol and impulsiveness, slid closer, his hand brushing against them both. What began as playful flirtation quickly escalated into something far more intense. Before long, inhibitions dissolved, and the three found themselves entwined on the floor, exploring boundaries they hadn't previously considered. That night marked the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. Zach became a regular presence during their weekends, adding a sense of adventure and novelty to their lives. However, when Zach eventually met someone special and his visit ceased, Angie found herself reminiscing about their shared experiences. It was she who first approached Steph, candidly admitting how much she missed the excitement. Intrigued and willing to explore further, they turned to the internet and discovered an online community catering to open-minded couples. Diving into the world of swinging brought a new dimension to their relationship. It wasn't just about physical encounters, it was an opportunity to connect with others, share experiences, and strengthen their bond. The couple approached it with caution, meeting prospective partners over drinks to gauge mutual attraction. Not every meeting led to a connection. Sometimes, the chemistry wasn't right, and other times, couples simply didn't follow up. But for Steph and Angie, that was part of the thrill, an adventure in itself. Their unconventional lifestyle became a testament to their deep understanding and trust in one another. Through it all, they rediscovered not only the passion they'd sought to rekindle, but also a newfound appreciation for the unique partnership they had built over the years. Steph and Angie's journey into a more adventurous love life took an intriguing turn when they met Aaron and Catherine. From their very first meeting, the connection between the two couples was palpable. They shared an easy camaraderie, fueled by mutual attraction and a shared openness to explore. Yet, Aaron and Catherine brought something entirely new to the table, an introduction to light bondage. While not extreme, they enjoyed the thrill of blindfolds, gentle restraints, and playful smacks on the buttocks. For Steph and Angie, it was an exciting evolution, adding layers of trust, vulnerability, and exhilaration to their encounters. Their evenings together became a highlight, a blend of laughter, passion, and experimentation. What made the arrangement even more harmonious was their shared bisexuality, which allowed all four to engage freely without reservations. Their openness fostered a unique bond, creating an atmosphere of acceptance and fun. Their guiding motto, "Couples that play together stay together," resonated deeply, embodying the joy and connection they found in these shared experiences. While the men weren't particularly interested in activities outside the bedroom, Angie and Catherine discovered a shared love of swimming. On some weekends, the two women would head to the aquatic center, relishing their time in the pool, spa, and sauna. These outings became a cherished ritual, a time for them to connect as friends beyond their physical relationship. One sunny afternoon, after an invigorating swim, the women found the communal showers occupied. Deciding to share one, they stepped into the warm cascade of water together. The steam enveloped them, heightening the intimacy of the moment. Catherine, ever playful, offered to wash Angie's back. Her touch was gentle but deliberate, the soap gliding over Angie's shoulders before trailing down her spine. She lingered in places she knew would elicit a reaction, her hands moving with both care and sensuality. Angie turned, her breath catching as their eyes met. Without hesitation, she returned the gesture, her hands mirroring Catherine's movements. The closeness, the warmth, and the connection were intoxicating. As the water flowed over them, they leaned into each other, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss. The world outside faded, leaving only the shared moment of desire and tenderness between them. This deepened bond between Angie and Catherine brought a new dimension to their already unconventional relationships. It wasn't just about exploration, it was about trust, understanding, and embracing the complexities of human connection. Their weekends at the aquatic center became even more meaningful, blending relaxation, intimacy, and the joy of shared experience. After that life-changing moment in the shower, Angie and Catherine began to see each other more frequently, their connection deepening with each encounter. What started as a playful exploration had transformed into something neither had anticipated, a profound love that went beyond the physical. They tried to hide their growing feelings from their partners, knowing the implications could disrupt the delicate balance of their intertwined relationships. Yet, the heart wants what it wants, and both women found it increasingly difficult to maintain the facade. The swinger lifestyle, once thrilling and liberating, now felt hollow in the shadow of the bond they shared. Angie, wrestling with the weight of her emotions, sought guidance in an unexpected place. She came across a post on social media about tarot readings offered by Elise, a reputed tarot reader known for her intuitive insights. Initially hesitant, Angie decided to schedule an online session, curious but unsure if it could provide clarity. When they connected, Angie asked Elise if a remote reading could be as accurate as one conducted in person. Elise assured her that distance wouldn't diminish the energy or accuracy, explaining that many of her clients had given glowing feedback about their virtual experiences. The session began with Elise methodically laying out the cards, reading Angie's past, present, and future. Angie felt a mix of anticipation and vulnerability as Elise delved into her life, articulating truths that resonated deeply. Finally, Elise asked her to focus her thoughts and intentions on the remaining focal card, a card that would represent the core energy shaping her path forward. Angie closed her eyes, channeling her hopes, fears, and desires into the moment. When Elise turned over the card, its meaning was both startling and oddly comforting: death. Sensing Angie's unease, Elise quickly clarified its significance. The death card was not an omen of finality, but a symbol of rebirth and transformation. It represented the end of a chapter, the shedding of old patterns, and the emergence of new beginnings. Associated with themes of sex, death, and regeneration, it was a card that heralded joy and liberation after releasing the constraints of the past. Elise explained that the card's message was about embracing change, even when it felt daunting, as it was through change that true freedom and renewal were found. Angie felt a shiver of recognition as Elise spoke, her words aligning perfectly with the turmoil and longing she'd been grappling with. The reading wasn't just accurate, it was revelatory. It gave her the clarity she'd been searching for and the courage to acknowledge what her heart already knew. She was ready to let go of the swinger lifestyle and step into a new chapter of her life, one where she could pursue a love that felt true and unencumbered. As the session ended, Angie thanked Elise, feeling a newfound sense of direction. The death card had given her permission to embrace the changes she'd been resisting, and it marked the beginning of a journey toward the life and love she truly desired. Catherine and Angie often confided in one another, sharing whispers of affection and dreams of a life together. Their bond was undeniable, forged in moments of stolen intimacy and reinforced by a shared yearning for freedom. Yet, the chains of financial dependency bound them to lives they longed to escape. Without the support of their respective partners, they both knew their lifestyles would drastically change, forcing them to reconsider the practicality of their love. One evening, over glasses of wine that blurred inhibitions, they jokingly mused, "Wouldn't it be nice if both the men died? Then we could finally be together." The remark hung in the air, laughed off but lingering, a dark seed planted in the fertile soil of their frustrations. The next time Catherine and Angie met, their playful energy was muted. As Catherine entered the room, Angie's eyes locked onto a dark bruise blooming beneath her friend's eye. Concern flared immediately. "What the hell happened?" Angie demanded, her voice a mix of worry and anger. Catherine hesitated, her gaze darting away as if the words she needed to say were trapped behind a wall of shame and fear. Finally, she whispered, "Aaron met someone online. Another man." She paused, swallowing hard before continuing, her voice trembling. "The encounter was horrific. They tied me up, Angie. They were rough, so rough. The other guy hit me. I didn't consent to any of it. And Aaron, he enjoyed it. He's already planning another meetup." The words struck Angie like a physical blow. Rage and sorrow battled within her as she reached for Catherine's hand. "You are not going through that again," she said firmly, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. "You'll stay away from him, Catherine. Tell him you're sick or busy, whatever it takes. Just put him off for a while." After a tense silence, they shifted the conversation, both needing a distraction from the heaviness of the moment. Over dinner, Angie proposed an idea. "We haven't had a proper holiday in forever," she said, her tone deliberately light. "What do you think about a getaway? You, me, Aaron, and my partner. We could all go together." Catherine's brows knitted. "Where would we even go?" Angie grinned. "A houseboat holiday on the Murray River. The guys love fishing, right? They'd be thrilled. And we could just relax, reconnect." The idea seemed to brighten Catherine's spirits. "That does sound nice. But can we even make it work? The weather's warming up, and places like that book out fast." "Leave it to me," Angie assured her. "We'll book it as soon as possible. Trust me, Catherine, it'll be good for everyone." Unbeknownst to the men, Angie's mind was already at work, weaving plans far more intricate than a simple holiday escape. For her, this trip was not just about relaxation, it was an opportunity. And deep down, she sensed that Catherine shared the same unspoken thought, a chance to rewrite their futures, no matter the cost. 2 weeks passed quickly, and Angie called Catherine with good news. "We're set," she said, her voice brimming with excitement. "I got lucky. There was a cancellation, so we've got the houseboat. It's beautiful, Catherine. 2 floors, spacious decks, everything we could want. We leave next Friday." "Wow," Catherine replied, a mixture of anticipation and nervousness in her tone. "That's soon." "Perfect timing," Angie reassured her. "Oh, and tell Aaron to pack his fishing rods. I told Steph to bring his weights too. We'll keep them busy while we enjoy some sunshine." The day of departure arrived, and the houseboat exceeded expectations. Its pristine white exterior gleamed under the sun, and the interior boasted modern comforts, large windows offering breathtaking views of the Murray River. The first 2 days were a blissful escape. The men fished in the early mornings while Angie and Catherine lounged on the upper deck, sipping coffee and exchanging knowing smiles. Evenings were filled with laughter, the 4 of them sharing meals, playing games, and enjoying the novelty of life on the water. On the 3rd night, after dinner and a few rounds of cards, the air grew heavy with a mix of alcohol and mischief. Angie leaned back in her chair, a sly smile playing on her lips. "I've got an idea to spice things up," she said, rising from the table. She disappeared into the bedroom and returned moments later, holding a small black bag. From it, she pulled out handcuffs and blindfolds, dangling them teasingly in front of the group. "How about we reverse roles for a change?" she purred. "You boys are always in charge. It's our turn now. Trust me, you're in for a real treat." Aaron and Steph exchanged amused glances, the alcohol dulling their inhibitions. "Why not?" Steph said with a chuckle, raising his glass in a mock toast. "Let's see what you've got." Catherine played along, her nervousness masked by Angie's boldness. The two women stepped into their roles with surprising ease, their playful dominance adding an edge to the night. They tied the men's hands with the cuffs, blindfolded them, and teased them mercilessly. The men, caught up in the thrill of the game, didn't notice the subtle shifts in the women's demeanor, the cold determination behind Angie's smile or the flicker of hesitation in Catherine's eyes. After the game had run its course, Angie leaned in close, her voice low and soothing. "Come on, boys. We've got one more surprise for you." She produced leather collars and leads, buckling them around their necks as the men laughed, thinking it was all part of the act. "Follow us." They guided the men to the edge of the boat, the cool night air biting against their exposed skin. The river stretched out in darkness before them, the water rippling softly under the moonlight. "This is different," Aaron said with a nervous laugh, his blindfold still in place. "What's next, ladies?" Angie's hand tightened around the lead as she glanced at Catherine, who was clutching a tire lever Angie had instructed her to bring. Catherine's breath hitched, the gravity of the moment pressing down on her. Now it all made sense. Angie's meticulous planning, the seemingly innocent suggestion of the holiday, even the casual remark about packing a tire lever. This was no longer a game. Angie raised her own tire lever, the cold metal glinting ominously in the moonlight. "Enjoy the breeze," Angie said softly, her tone laced with something that sent a chill down Catherine's spine. The men, oblivious to the shift, chuckled again, their laughter fading into the stillness of the night. Catherine's heart pounded in her chest as she realized there was no turning back. The night had settled into a deep, eerie stillness, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the houseboat. Angie's voice cut through the quiet as she turned to Steph, her tone calm but commanding. "Step up," she said, guiding him to the edge of the boat. Steph chuckled, the alcohol still clouding his judgment. "What's this about? Another surprise?" Angie didn't respond. She positioned him just right, the river stretching out like a yawning abyss beneath him. She glanced back at Catherine, her gaze sharp and deliberate. "Take Aaron inside," she said smoothly, "and pour him a drink. Keep him distracted." Catherine hesitated, her hand tightening on Aaron's lead. Her heart was pounding, each beat a deafening echo in her ears. She nodded stiffly, leading Aaron back into the lounge. "Come on," she murmured, forcing a smile. "Let's have one last drink." Meanwhile, Angie didn't wait. As Steph turned to say something, her hand moved swiftly, the tire lever arcing through the air with cold precision. The dull, sickening thud reverberated in the stillness as Steph staggered, his body crumpling forward. Angie gave him one hard shove, sending him over the edge and into the dark water below. The splash was louder than she'd expected, and she stood frozen for a moment, watching the ripples spread. "Angie." Catherine's voice called nervously from inside. "Bring Aaron out here," Angie replied, her voice steady as steel. Catherine hesitated, but she obeyed. Aaron, now slightly wary, stumbled onto the deck. "What's going on?" he asked, the blindfold still loosely tied around his head. "Step up, Aaron," Angie said with an unsettling calm. Aaron chuckled nervously. "Is this part of the game? Where's Steph?" "Don't worry about Steph," Angie said. Before Aaron could react, Angie swung the tire lever with the same ruthless efficiency, the blow landing squarely on his temple. Aaron crumpled like a puppet with its strings cut, and Angie shoved him into the water. "What now?" Catherine asked, her voice trembling as she stared at the rippling surface of the river. Angie turned to her, her expression unreadable. "Now, we tie their leads to the boat. Keep them underwater until we're sure they're gone. It shouldn't take long." Catherine's stomach churned as she helped Angie secure the leads to the metal railing. The weight of what they'd done pressed down on her, a suffocating blanket of guilt and fear. Back inside the lounge, Angie poured them both drinks. Her hand was steady as she dealt out a deck of cards. "Let's wait," she said, her tone casual, as if they were merely passing time. They played two hands, the air thick with unspoken tension. Catherine's eyes kept darting to the window, where the river gleamed faintly in the moonlight. Finally, Angie stood. "Time to check," she said. They stepped back onto the deck. The leads were taut, stretching down into the dark water. Catherine's voice was barely above a whisper. How are we going to sink them?" Angie tilted her head, considering. "There's rope in the storage locker, and the weights I got Steph to bring. We'll tie them up and weigh them down. They'll sink to the bottom, and the current will take care of the rest." Catherine shivered, the night air biting against her skin. "And if someone finds them?" "They won't," Angie said firmly. "We're in the middle of nowhere. By the time anyone realizes they're missing, we'll be long gone." Angie stood at the edge of the deck, the moon casting a cold glow over the water. Her movements were methodical, her demeanor calm as she turned to Catherine. "Pass me the weights," she said, her voice low but steady. Catherine hesitated for a moment, her hands trembling as she lifted one of the heavy weights. "Are you sure this will work?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the gentle lapping of the river. Angie didn't look up as she took the weight, threading the lead through its center with practiced precision. "It will," she said firmly. "The current's strong, the water's deep. They'll disappear, Catherine. Forever." Catherine swallowed hard and nodded, her breath hitching as Angie tied the lead tightly and heaved the weight overboard. The splash echoed through the quiet night, followed by an eerie stillness as Steph's body sank beneath the surface, swallowed by the dark, murky depths of the Murray River. Angie let out a shaky laugh, her eyes shining with a strange mixture of relief and exhilaration. "It worked," she said, her voice breaking slightly. She turned to Catherine, her expression both triumphant and haunting. They repeated the process with Aaron. Catherine's hands shook as she handed over the second weight, and Angie didn't falter, her movements as deliberate as before. Another splash, another life erased into the abyss. When it was done, Angie climbed back onto the houseboat with Catherine's help. They both collapsed onto the deck, breathless and trembling. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, Angie reached for Catherine, pulling her into a fierce embrace. "It's over," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "We're free now." Catherine clung to her, her mind a whirlwind of relief, fear, and the faint stirrings of guilt. "Are you sure no one will find them?" she asked, her voice muffled against Angie's shoulder. "They're gone," Angie replied firmly. "The river will keep its secrets." Together, they pushed the rowboat away from a houseboat, watching as it drifted aimlessly into the night. By morning, it would be far enough downstream to solidify their story. When they returned to shore, Catherine and Angie made the call. Their voices trembled with carefully crafted panic as they explained to the police that their husbands had gone out fishing the previous evening and hadn't returned. Search and rescue teams combed the river for days, but the depths of the Murray were murky and unforgiving. The discovery of a deserted rowboat several miles downstream added credence to their account. After a week, the search was officially called off. The authorities deemed it a tragic accident, a case of misfortune in the unpredictable waters of the Murray River. Catherine and Angie moved in together shortly after, their lives seemingly untouched by the events of that fateful night. They built a new life, filled with quiet mornings and shared laughter, never once uttering a word about the darkness that bound them. But sometimes, late at night when the house was silent, Catherine would lie awake, her mind drifting back to the river. She would imagine the cold, inky depths and wonder if the river truly kept its secrets, or if one day it would decide to give them up. Remember to like, subscribe, and share to others, so you don't miss an episode.